Speaking of home runs, I saw a guy named Pat Corrales died. Did I pronounce it? Pat Corrales? He was a skipper for the Indians back in the day. Do you remember that guy? You were too young, probably.
No, I don't know that.
83 through 87. Cleveland Indians manager was Pat Corrales.
I probably went to a game then, but I was, a small child.
Yeah, he has died. He was actually coaching the Braves when they beat the Indians in the 1995 World Series.
That jerk.
So he's got a World Series under his belt. But he bounced around a lot. I think the last coaching gig he had was with the Washington Nationals, and that was a long time ago. But people who go back into the 80s with the Indians might remember Pat Corrales, who died today. Guardians had a pretty decent weekend in Toronto. They took 2 of 3 against the Blue Jays. 10-7 was the final yesterday. Now they're in Minneapolis to play the Twins. Tonight, tomorrow, and Wednesday afternoon, they'll be playing the Twins. That is a 7:40 first pitch tonight. 7:10 if you want to get all the pregame action in there here on MMS and on the iHeartRadio app. So more from the weekend on the Alan Cox Show cruise. I was wearing a blue short sleeve button down that had pineapples on it. And
because you're a swinger.
Well, that was the question I kept being asked. And I guess I hadn't noticed because they were just like, it was the same pineapple all over the shirt, but some of them were right side up and some of them were upside down.
Yeah.
And I hadn't paid that close attention to it. Just kind of a jaunty placement,
Right.
kind of random. And more than a couple of people asked me if that was indicative of anything. And I said, no. I don't know if
you guys aren't hot wifing,
feeling around, or we're not hot wifing. No. Well, Gwen wasn't with me. She had a girls' weekend, so I was solo. But again, it was. I guess I hadn't looked that closely at the shirt and hadn't thought about it. I was just going for something that had a bit of an island feel. Poundcake wore. I don't know what Poundcake wore. He wore like a t-shirt. Yeah, t-shirt and shorts.
Just It wasn't a polo. It was just a.
You didn't have any boat wear like Bill had, like a kind of a very vibrant,
nice Hawaiian
shirt on. Mary had a sundress on.
So, I did have a floral shirt that I had, but it was in storage somewhere, like in a bunch of boxes, and I couldn't find it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, because when I went to Mexico,
which means you haven't worn it in a long time.
Yeah, and it would have to be washed, and they now charge for wash. I now have a washer and dryer that I have to pay for, so. I didn't think it was that deep.
Just pretend it's the bar on the boat, money bags.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys all went to Shooters afterwards.
Yeah, well, I didn't really have it planned, so it was kind of the consensus was like, well, Shooters is right there, so let's just walk over, and then we'll plot our next move.
Did you get to the Harbor Inn, though? Because that was your main goal.
Got to the Harbor Inn, yes.
I went there for one before the boat.
Uh-huh.
Went there with pants. We had one, and then we walked over.
Oh, I was racing to the boat. There was a minute where I was like, I'm not going to make
late,
this goddamn boat.
You were late.
And then I get there, and apparently the boat was a little bit late or something, so the line is like around. I'm like, oh, thank God. I think I'm going to be like jumping on as it's pulling away.
I didn't realize you were there. You were. I didn't see you up until like the minute we were on board.
Well, yeah, I got there because I was dropping my daughter off at the mother-in-law's, and then she forgot something, so I had to go home and bring it back to her, and I was going to Uber down. And so, like, my Uber goes from he'll be there in 9 minutes to he'll be there in 17 minutes. So I'm like, man, I have no wiggle room here. So I'm kind of standing there doing the pee-pee dance at my house going, am I gonna drive? So I go, I'll wait for the Uber. So the guy gets there. Nice dude, right?
Yeah.
75-year-old black man, long gray ponytail. No, not very talkative, but nice guy. He's playing some smooth jazz in there. I'm trying to impart to him how urgent it is that I get there on time. So I kind of explain what's happening. And so we have a bit of nice conversation. And then his phone rings, right? Mind you, the guy is using a magnifying glass to look at his phone.
Yes.
To look, because there's a map on the Uber app that he's using to get me down to the flats. And he's using a giant magnifying glass to look at his phone, okay? Hey, the better you can see it, the quicker we'll get there. So the phone rings, and it's he goes, hey, this is my wife calling. Do you mind if I go, absolutely not. Go ahead. Puts her on speaker, by the way. A lot of these people, they have earbuds in, like you don't know if they're talking to you or not because they're always talking to somebody on the phone, just to pass the time, I assume. And he starts talking to his wife. So he excuses himself, puts the call on speaker, and his wife informs him that Bob Barker has died. And he's like, oh, he's kind of nonchalant about the whole thing. And then the wife is going on this long, laborious story about his sister and how evil she is and how she was laughing at Bob Barker dying and blah, 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 and all this stuff. And so he kind of does the, okay, honey, I'm in the car. I'm going to talk to you later on. And he hangs up. And he proceeds to tell me that his sister is the first black woman to ever win The Price is Right.
Whoa.
40 years ago. And that she's a real pain in the ass. And I was like, wow, that is, what are the chances on the day that Bob Barker dies that I'm going to get an anecdote like that?
That's great.
Rather than just some, family drama that happened on my ride down. And then, so, I mean, it was but boy, I got there like with minutes to spare.
Poundcake and I took an Uber together to get down there because he lives right around the corner from me now. So I was like, I'll just scoop him up. And what was that? Our Uber driver was talking about like
Going to Africa.
But before that, he was talking about how he likes watching. He's probably like a black guy in his 60s, maybe early 70s. But he was talking about how he likes to watch near death stuff on YouTube.
Yeah,
and he's like, I like watching them when the motorcycles almost get caught, like hit by a bus or something. He's like, I'm addicted to that.
Wow.
That's his kink, the near miss videos.
Yeah.
Near hit, whatever.
It was very, And then he went, he's like, you ever been to Africa? And I was like, no, I haven't. I have not been to Africa. He's like, oh, you got to go.
A buddy of mine, one of my best friends, the guy that we went to Vegas with over the 4th of July, he and his wife live in L.A. They went on a safari a couple years ago, and he's like, it will change your life.
Yeah, I bet.
Going to Africa. He's like, it is
he sold
just
it.
a gorgeous, gorgeous place.
Yeah. It was so out of nowhere because he was talking about all that other stuff, and then he just goes, you ever been to Africa?
Yeah.
I'm like, we're just going on a boat, man.
So you didn't go to Shooters.
I didn't go to
after.
Shooters.
Okay.
So I had a couple friends come over, and we went swimming, even though it was windy as hell and kind of cold.
Oh, you went home right after the thing and went swimming?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, look at
Yeah,
you. Now let me ask you this. Did you get hammered on the boat?
I mean,
You looked pretty toasty.
I was definitely drunk.
Okay.
I
Because I really didn't. I was like, this is going to be a long night. I'm going to pace myself. So I think I had...
I didn't have plans for it to be a long night. I kind of
Okay.
knew, like, I'm going to go back to my place, and then I'm not leaving my place again.
I gotcha,
So,
okay.
like, I'm fine with that being
Because usually
the
on
end
the
of my night.
cruise, I get pretty lit because there's people handing me like shots left and right.
I did
And
a few shots.
I
think
I did like one and then had like a beer.
I think I did 3 shots, and then those seltzers that they had, I drink those, but I drank them over ice. So
Rice?
Yes, over rice. Because I
alcohol
dropped my
coats
phone
the
in my
rice.
stomach, so I wanted to dry it out.
Really swallowed my phone. Oh my God, how am I going to fix this?
And then we went swimming at my place, and my one friend came back, but she doesn't really drink a lot, so she's like, I gotta go home. I'm like, this is the drunkest I've been in 5 years, and I'm like, fine, go home. She showed me her boobs. It was great. And then my other friends came down. It was a married couple, and then my buddy Josh. And we're just in the pool, but it's a heated pool, so it feels good. But it's so windy. If any of your body is exposed,
It's freezing.
you're freezing.
Yeah.
So we are in the pool, like holding our drinks just
Up to your
barely out of the
noses.
water.
Yeah.
Just like up to our chins for a good 2 hours. We stayed there till past 8:30 and drank. And then it got to the point where we had drank enough that we're like, we're not worried about the wind anymore. So then we played chicken. And it was the girl on Josh's shoulders and then her husband on my shoulders because they're both smaller and Josh and I are bigger. And her tactic was to pull her boobs out so that he would be distracted and they'd win.
But that's her husband. He
Her
sees her
own
boobs
husband
all the
would get
time.
distracted by her boob. I mean, boobs are great anytime
I was trying
you see them.
like, hey, focus, man, focus. But it kind of distracted all of us because even Josh was just like trying to look up at the boobs.
Yeah.
But yeah, it worked. They won.
So Poundcake, after Shooters, where did you go?
Home.
Oh, you did. So I was the only one that was still out.
Yeah, I was going to, because I live around the corner from Bill, and I'm in the middle of there. I was like, maybe I'll go to Twist. Maybe I'll go to Twist if I'm feeling. I was gonna go like right after Shooters, and then I'm like, well, let me see how I feel. Let me drink some water first, and sit back. And then there was like a guy that hit me up, and I was like, okay, well, why go to Twist when Twist is coming to me? So I stayed.
Twist
in.
is coming to me.
Twist my arm and
Right.
I'll stay home. Yeah.
Well, yeah, because everybody first went over to Shooters, and then people were telling me they were going to keep going on, and I'm like, okay, well then like I was hanging out with Joe Kalinowski and his wife for a little bit, but I had like this kind of rotating group of people, some from work and some people I know, and everybody's like, yeah, we're going to go over to the other side of the flats, then we'll kind of make the rounds. I was like, great. Except I start walking thinking that everybody's coming along, but they're not. So I get to the water taxi and I'm by myself.
Aw.
Which again, no big deal. I have no problem being by myself. I was just surprised when I turned around and we weren't in a big group. And
You
I
were
was
talking
like,
all that crap.
oh, huh?
You were talking all that crap about the water taxi, and you ended up taking the water taxi.
No, I wasn't talking crap. I had never been on it before. I thought you had to pay them to get on the water taxi. I didn't know it was like a whole thing. So I walk over and
I
there's
mean, you like tip them, right? But it's like free.
oh, I don't have cash on me. I don't know.
No, but it's
Um,
it's an easy service to use.
I guess the Metro Parks runs it or what.
Yeah.
I didn't know anything about it. I'd never been on. But you pick it up right there. And so, I'm on with like 3 other randos, and then you get over there and I, kind of made the rounds from there. But people were peeling off stop to stop. And, but it was fun. It was a good time. I mean, it was, whatever. Weather was awesome. It was nice.
Yeah, the
I didn't
weather
realize
was
that you got, I know
perfect.
Mary had gone to the party.
Yeah, we had to leave early to go to, well, not early, but we got
Right
off
after.
the boat immediately
Yeah.
and went to an 8-year-old's birthday party. So we just kind of sat and watched the kids scream. It was so loud. It was like we had a very loud day from the drunk people on the boat and then going to a kid's party. At one point, I walked inside to grab some food and I hear a guitar, and Brian is alone in our friend's living room playing the guitar. I was like, are you trying to lure the children? What are you doing in here?
Lure the children, like is the Pied Piper.
He's like, I just kind of needed to get away for a minute. And I was like, I get it. We've been surrounded by people and screaming people all day long.
Right.
But he and I snuck away from the party for a little while because they lived 5 minutes from us.
Did you guys do a bathroom
You
bang?
porked at a kid's party.
We went to our own home because they lived 5 minutes from us and then came back. And our buddy was like, yeah, go. I got this. Don't worry about it. She's not even going to notice you're gone. And I guess after like 2 minutes that we had left, weren't even home yet. And she was like, where's my dad and Mary? Like making a big problem about it.
They're really, really close to each other right now, honey.
Our buddy was like,
They're at home hugging.
They had to go find your dad's keys.
You'll never believe where they are.
But yeah, we
Not there.
we had a good night. We went home, and then we had another kid's birthday party yesterday. So we had a very busy weekend.
Oh my God.
Yes, we had a
That's a
very busy
weekend you wish
weekend.
you were still drinking.
Don't you wish that kid was less popular?
It's actually our friends. Like, there are friends who also have kids. And like, yeah, come on over, bring the kids, like that kind of thing.
Wow. Yeah, the thing with the shots too is, God bless them on that Lady Caroline boy. Those bartenders had a heavy
Oh my
hand.
God!
I
The
was
first
so
one
happy.
they gave me, I was like, "Oh, all right." this
Woody and I
is-
did a shot.
yeah.
He bought me a shot of tequila because I hadn't seen Woody in quite some time, and he turned around and we were both like, "Oh my God!"
was
They were
worth it.
they were like 4 fingers of Patron.
Yeah. I think they were like heavy pours because my mom, again, she doesn't
Don't
do
call your
shot-
mom a heavy pour.
What?
Shut up.
Pour, Bill.
But she went up to go buy a round of shots. And I'm like, are you sure you can do it? She's like, oh, yeah, I'm sure it's fine. I was like, okay. And
So I'm sorry to interrupt. So it was your mom, because I had a hard time figuring it out. It was your mom, and you had 2 or 3 cousins there.
no.
Okay.
I had one cousin. My mom, her friend from work,
Okay.
a fellow nurse from work, and then my cousin
Oh,
was there
okay.
as well.
Yeah.
Who was the one that yelled at my friend?
My cousin.
Okay,
Yelled.
Yes. She
Those
was-
are our glasses.
And it's literally like a switch was flipped. She was dancing on the dance floor, and all of a sudden she saw us. And she's like, "Hey, hey!" I'm like, "Well, what's going on? Hey, you're really a bucket of sunglasses and some fans." I'm like, "These or postmenopausal ladies are just in there fighting over their fans. Don't touch my fan." But-
Beyonce's worst song ever. Yeah, no, it was a lot of fun. I met the guys from the band Clamhammer.
Sure.
Yep. Maybe we'll get them on 2 hours to midnight. Who knows?
Brian said some guy cornered him for like 10 minutes and was like, Mary says you like metal. I got a metal band, man. He was like trying to play his metal band on his phone, and Brian's like trying to be nice.
You're talking to
It's
the
also
wrong
like,
guy, man.
Dude, I really don't want to listen to your band. Like,
Right.
I'm trying to hang out. And
Yeah.
Yeah. It was a good day, though. I had a lot of fun.
It was fun.
Yeah. And that new boat is nice. I love
Really nice,
that
yes.
open air lower deck where it's got all the couches and stuff like that. Because then you can stay, like, you have the option to go up and get in the sun, but a little bit of sun goes a long ways for me. So being there where you're still getting the good breeze and stuff.
I felt like there was no
fantastic.
breeze down there. Every time I went down there, it felt, comparatively, I spent 95% of my time on the top deck where the sun, because when I went down into the second one, I was like, oh, maybe I'll go down and dance. It felt like it was 20 degrees warmer in there. I was like,
That's
it's
all right with it. Yeah.
That's because Mattitude creating all that heat from all that Michael Jackson he was playing.
The
There's
steam
a lot of
coming
Michael
off of-
Jackson.
It was
the
a
steam coming off
very-
of Poundcake's cousin's ears because she's so mad about her glasses getting
glasses
stolen. Her free
and-
glasses getting stolen.
My question, did anybody have a conversation with Mattitude beforehand about music, or did he just think Michael Jackson was yacht music?
He asked me,
Okay.
and I said, this is your thing. You do your thing. Mattitude's a professional. He knows what he's doing.
Right.
It wasn't tailored to a cruise per se.
Because
But-
we've always had like yacht rock cover bands in the past.
We had like Boaterhead.
Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So, and I was like, because Brian was a little confused. He's like, this playlist is I can't nail it down. It goes from rap to Michael Jackson
I told
to
Mattitude
this
to do
that.
Yeah, I told Mattitude to do his thing because I'm like, we don't need to do nonstop yacht rock. Like I
Well,
don't.
I was kind of
if it's a
looking forward
band,
to that,
well,
to be honest with you.
but if it's a band, that's a different thing because that's what they do, and that's got like a different. And besides, like if the band was, let's say we had a band, I wouldn't have realized that they were going to be on that second deck.
right.
We always had a band on the top deck on the old boat. So
Yeah,
it's
that
like,
would be
if
weird.
it was in the middle deck by the dance floor there, I think that would have been strange. So we kind of eased into this with Mattitude, and I told him, I said, you do your thing.
Yeah, and if you want to,
I think he played me some Steely Dan at the end or something. Yeah,
I
absolutely.
did make a request, and everyone booed me. The entire boat.
Because you made a country
booed
request.
me. I said, dude, we were on the boat for 2.5 hours. And I said, can you just play me one country song? Just one. Can I have 3 minutes of this 2.5 hours to have one country song?
Now you know how to read the room
and
on the Alan Cox Show
entirety
cruise.
of the boat booed.
Yes.
and it's
Now you
what's
know how to
funny,
read the room.
we were taking our group picture. I don't know if you saw it on my Instagram, Alan, but if you check it out, the last picture that I posted on my Instagram was
did see
when
that.
Mattitude was announcing he was going to play me a country song. And you looked at me and gave me this stink eye in the middle of us taking a picture. And I was like, listen.
No, I was just
did
confused. I didn't
one.
know. I mean, I hadn't been listening that closely, so I wasn't aware that maybe he hadn't done one before then.
There was no country. That's why I
Okay.
asked him.
Well, now
I
you
was
know
like,
why.
Can you play me just
Everybody
one?
booed. Did he say this
Everybody
one's
booed.
for Mary?
Yes.
He did.
Oh,
That's
okay.
why you looked at me like that. He's like, Mary Santora asked me about a half hour ago to play some country. This is the only one you're getting. Like,
And what was it?
Cruise by Florida Georgia Line.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It wasn't like
I know.
Butterfly Kisses or some
No,
nonsense, or the one with the dead kid.
No, it won't be that. It's not party music.
Yeah, all the
Right.
country music.
Oh, that Cancer Baby song that you love so much, whatever that is. Hey, everybody, thanks for coming out. Here's a song about a dead kid. Drink up. I got a break here. You want to send a text, 35192, AlanCoxShow.com to watch. We'll be back.
The Alan Cox Show on 100.7 WMMS.
And everywhere you go on our free iHeartRadio app.